In asylum seeker detention with his children and wife, I believe, for about 5 years before getting moved, and eventually was knocked back. But he sought asylum, found it in New Zealand, which is really interesting to me. It's like, why does one country have different standards from another? This is probably the most powerful poem I came across doing my thesis, and you'll find out why. Fuck, I hope I don't cry. Or maybe I do. Oh, fuck it. I don't care if I cry. A lesson in drawing. My son put his art box in front of me and asks me to draw for him a bird. I cover the brush with grey paint and I draw for him a square with a padlock and bars. My son tells me with his eyes filled with wonder, but this is a prison. Don't you know how to draw a bird? I tell him, my son, forgive me, I don't remember the shape of birds. My son puts his pencil box in front of me and asks me to draw for him the sea. I take a lead pencil and a black circle I draw. My son tells me, but this is a black circle, Dad. Don't you know how to draw the sea? Also, don't you know that the colour of the sea is blue? I tell him, my son, I was in my time so skilled at drawing the seas, but today they took away the hook from me and my fishing boat. They forbid me to communicate with the colour blue and catch the fish of freedom. My son puts the sketchbook in front of me and asks me to draw for him a stalk of wheat. I hold the pen and I draw for him a gun. My son mocked my ignorance in the art of drawing and tells me astonishingly, don't you know, Dad, the difference between a stalk of grain and a gun? I tell him, son, I knew in the past the shape of a stalk of wheat, the shape of bread, the shape of a rose. But in this metallic age, where the trees of woods enlisted with the militia men, and where a rose wears patches of cloth, in the time of armed stalks of wheat, armed birds, armed culture, and armed religion, there is no bread to buy without discovering a gun lying inside. There is no rose I can pick without raising its arms in my face. There is no book to buy from the library without exploding between these fingers. My son sits at the edge of the bed and asks me to read him a poem. My tear drops on the pillow. He catches it in bewilderment and says, but this is a tear, Dad, and not a poem. I tell him, my son, when you grow up and read the collection of Arabic poems, you will realise that a word and a tear are sisters, and that the Arabic poem is only a tear rolling between the fingers. My son puts his pencils and his painting box in front of me and asks me a homeland for him to sketch. The brush stirs in my hand and weeping, I fall. Thanks.